Because I was working.
It's her fault.
Yeah, she did around.
I woke up in advance.
That was 2:30.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was having Friday night bears. Yeah, I was like, this doesn't make sense.
I don't know what time it was, but I was like, I don't know what it was.
I had three, like, because Judy said, I said, at 3 o'clock, then I had download from, what we were going to do tonight. She said, I was awake at 3. You said, you were awake at 3. And I thought, I wonder how many of them were awake at 3.
Yep.
I was going to email you and I thought, no, she's downloading.
That's what happens. Okay. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Hello, hello. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. What's today? April what? 19th. Owning your fire, April 19th. I guess I better wait till we're on record.
I couldn't remember the date today.
We're all set? Yay! We were having some technical difficulties apparently. Thank God man is here. He handled it all. Okay. Owning your fire, April 19th, 2017. Dum-da-dum-da-dum. All right. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
He is. Now he's thoroughly embarrassed, right? Has everybody paid attention to him? He
My
is.
phone is okay. 10.
When we lived on Abbey Hill, there was a woman in the house next to us who was an older widow. And every now and again, he'd end up over there cleaning out her eaves trough or something. And then one day, our car broke down for who knows why. And he needed to take it to the garage. So he got to take it to the garage. Then it was time to go pick it up. And I said, go next door and get her to drive you. And he said, I can't do that.
But it's her car.
No, it was our car.
Oh, it's your car.
She needed it.
You have cleaned out her eaves trough. You have repaired her roof. You have, cleared her driveway. How many times? You go next door and get her to drive you. And if you don't, I will. So then he went. And she was totally happy to do it,
Well, you're very clear with it.
Thank you. So, it is only April, but I know people like lots of time to think about change. So I've been thinking a lot about changes and my retirement process, and I've decided that next year in 2018, I'm only going to do remote for Owning Your Fire. I will leave it in as is, in the sense we'll figure out the dates and stuff. And if you guys want doubled up in in April and November, I think that's a lot. Like a lot of people are finding it very intense, so you can ponder that. There's nothing to stop you guys from gathering at houses to do it together. You have to figure that out, which you did, and it was great. Just so you know, in the context, I'm going to keep this workshop. I'm going to keep doing it. I love it. You know that. There are lots of things that I'm not keeping. So, for instance, before September, the shop is going to be gone from my website. So all of the workshops and stuff that are currently available will be gone. For all sorts of reasons. And so I'll send out a note about that and warn people so that people who have downloads there, make sure you take them and you back them up. Because in the past, if people lose them or whatever, we replace them, I won't have the facility to do that anymore. It's just big changes. I'm making big changes. And I thought long and hard about whether I would keep it or whether I would keep it in this form. I do want to shift away from doing this and do it more remotely. That'll take care of a lot of the people at home who want video. Well, there will be video because I'll be doing it remotely like I did when I was in Florida. And I do find, because I've done it for a couple of years now, that those workshops that I do when I only do it remote, I can be more intense. Some people will call that a bad thing, and some people will call that a good thing. However, it is a reality that I can. It is. It is. And we can still have our play dates. And the other thing I might do is like we now do 10 a year. What I might do is go down to 8 a year and do something that are optional, like do an optional, like a half-day workshop or something where we can play with other things.
And that would be in person.
Yes, that would be in person. And we'll see, because I noticed I was playing with one. I was talking to Judy about it. I read a couple of articles, and what happens is I read something and everything pours into my head like a bucket of sand, and then I have to deal with it, And I was sorting it out, so I ended up making this outline for a workshop, and I was going, when will I ever do this? It's too big for 2 hours, and it wouldn't break up easily. And I thought, maybe we'll decide and we'll play together and, and do one. We'll figure that out. What's wonderful for me is that it will be work optional, right? And they're work optional. Like I'm not going to be in business anymore.
Oh.
I will do strictly what I want to do because I will be retired. And so I'm dissolving my corporation. That's why the shop is coming down. I'm changing, you'll see the website will condense down to this very much smaller thing. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out step by step. There's a lot of logistics involved. And so we're making project plans. This, the server is necessary for the downloads. That renews at this date. So it has to be done kind of by August. It's like, okay, step. I'll sort it all out. I will sort it all out. We will still play. That's the important thing. The thing we're going to do tonight that they told me about at 3 a.m. this morning, I was not pleased. You have to wake me up at 3 a.m. apparently. It happens all the time. You think I'd stop whining about it, but I really am not going to because I don't like being awake at 3 a.m. So I'm going to whine, and that's okay. So we've done lots of things that are about clearing things like regret and clearing things that were because you were conflicted about a decision or something like that. This is a little different than that. Every time you make a choice, it has a price. So if you choose coffee, then the price is you don't have tea or juice or something else. Every choice you make, it eliminates all the other potentials that existed. Okay? And lots of times we've done work about clearing choices that had regret, or clearing choices that were conflicted, or you didn't feel good about, or whatever. What we want to do, or what I'm going to do tonight, is we're going to clear the pain that's been held because every choice has a price. So even if you make a choice that you're happy about, it still has the price of having eliminated potentials. And so in a lot of cases, because you weren't aware of that, like you're not making your choices as consciously over time as perhaps you would do now, then there's a lot of places where there's pain stuck because of those choices. So if you think about a choice you made that you think you feel good about. Yes? The reality is that choice still has a price. Even though you feel good about it, it still has a price. Okay? When you're free of conflict, okay, the price is fine. It's okay. It's not a wrong thing. If I choose to have water instead of tea, I chose it. I'm okay with that. I didn't want the tea. Okay? When it's clear, When you're clear with your choice, there is still a price. If you're without conflict, then it shouldn't get stuck. Okay? It shouldn't get stuck. If you're without conflict, there should be no stuckness. Okay? The thing is, that's not always true. And so when I was looking at it, I was going, okay, there's places here where there's stuckness, even though it felt like a right choice, or even though it felt like the choice you were committed to. Sometimes it's you were committed to that choice, and yet there's still pain stuck inside. It's like the pain doesn't flow. In theory, if you're without conflict, there shouldn't be any pain. Okay? And that would be true if you felt that your authority in your life was absolute. Everybody's snorting. Oh yeah, because I have absolute authority. So here's the thing. Even if you feel like it's the right choice, you may not have felt that you had the authority to make that choice absolutely. Okay? So lots of times you make a choice in your life, it affects other people, for instance. Okay? So you may feel like you made the right choice. The thing is, you can't control the outcome. So if you're worried about other people, even if it feels like the right choice, you may be afraid of the impact it will have on other people. So that is fear of your own authority. Yes, Maurice?
I don't know, I feel like I would be worried about the impact as I'm struggling to make the choice.
Yes.
But once the choice is done, I don't feel like I worry about the impact.
Good. That's now.
Okay, that's now.
What about when you were 20?
Oh, well, no, that's a whole other
So what I'm saying is there are places where you've made choices and you didn't feel confident in your authority.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's all this pain that's been stuck and held, even though I don't see conflict around the choice. Okay? That's okay. It'll come back. Blank.
Wow. Sorry.
I call those brain farts. Or, right?
Not ready for that authority.
Yeah, apparently not.
So we'll talk a little bit about authority. So let's set up some light. We're going to do some cell breathing with this. And I have balls wrapped around everything. So if you're doing it at home, set yourself up with the double balls. So first ball, put yourself in a ball of light, set it spinning through you and around you, through your energy, through your tissue, through all of your being, through time and across time. And in that light, acceptance, approval, and love, comfort, lots and lots of comfort. Put protection, lots and lots of love. And then the second ball spins the other way, and that is to neutralize the obsolete emotion. Things that have been held inside you that are obsolete, they can just, instead of trying to get them to flow, because then you're trying to get old emotion out that doesn't belong to right now, just let the energy neutralize it. So this is a physics thing. So if you think of like a sound wave looks like a sine wave, which is like a hill. It's up and down, up and down, up and down like hills. If you use another wave that does the opposite amplitude, so when one goes up, the other goes down, it literally cancels it out. This happens with music. If you set up speakers with music and they cross each other the wrong way, you'll get spots in the room where you can't hear the music, dead spots. Okay? And it's physics. So what this second ball is doing is it's allowing this energy to literally be canceled out because it's obsolete. Doesn't belong. Okay, now let's stack up all those younger selves inside you and get those balls flowing through both the balls, flowing through all of those versions of you and through time and across time. Okay, now we're going to do cell breathing. So as you breathe in, breathe into the light that is the life force of that cell. As you breathe out, flush. When you breathe into the light in the center of that cell, the light expands. It expands in all directions out through the cell. So you breathe into that spark of light. The light expands. As you breathe out, let the light flush. And our focus is flushing because we're letting things go. And a lot of times what you're letting go is very old. When I was doing this at 3 a.m., I had to pay all kinds of attention to weird things that I don't necessarily understand. Like, I had to pay attention to the fact that there are fibers of tissue in the body, and the cells make up those fibers. Tony was later saying to me, these fibers are clumped. We have to get them to straighten out. Okay, so your muscles are made up of fibers. Connective tissue can be made up of fibers. So it's what I want you to do is, as you're focusing on that flush, recognize that these cells are they're part of tissue, they're part of organs, they're part of fibers, they're part of your toenails, they're part of your nose, they're part of your hair, they're part of your bones, they're part of your brain, they're part of your nerves. And so as you flush, allow the flush to occur at all of those levels. At the level of the life of the cell, the mitochondria, flushing out the cell itself. Flushing out the things that the cells form. Flushing out pathways. So that all of the structures that are formed are also flushed out. Because with energy, it's always about your intent, it's always about how you aim. And so for this, we need to aim at all of the structures that are formed at the cells and the and the energy. And meanwhile, we've got these balls of light that are bringing in all kinds of courage and comfort and love to support the work, to support those younger versions of you. That's it. See? Lots of cooking going on. We're just going to sit with that for a little bit. Just kind of let it cook. Just think about letting yourself flush and letting yourself be aware. Flushing your connective tissue. Flushing your energy. Flushing your bones. You breathe in all of that light. You flush out your brain. You breathe in all of that light and you flush out your skin. You flush out your bones. You flush out your lymph system. There are layers and layers of structures within you. Think about letting yourself flush out all of those layers. Okay, so when we grow as a fetus, we grow in the same levels and layers that our brains grow. So first is the brain stem, and that very, very old tissue that goes with the brain stem. And then, so as the fetus forms, when you first form your kidneys, you form the old tissue, and then as the second layer of the brain forms, you form another set of functionality in the kidneys, and then as your cognitive brain forms, there's another layer of tissue that forms in the kidneys and functionality. So there's layers of functionality in your body that go with the oldest part of your brain and the most primitive parts, with the limbic system part, and then with the modern cognitive part. So think about, as you breathe in all of that light. And as you breathe out, you're flushing all of those layers. Breathe into the light in the cells, and it expands the light. Flush out the oldest layers in your body that go with your brainstem. The primitive parts, the lizard brain parts, the nerves, the digestive tract. As you breathe in all that light and flush out the layers that go with your limbic system. The hormones, the chemistry, the instincts. The layers that are about connection. As you breathe in, all of that light expands. As you breathe out and flush the layers that are about the modern brain. The outer layers of everything, the higher function of everything. Flush it all out. That's it. So just keep all that breathing going. And I'm going to talk a little bit about authority and just keep flushing and flushing. So influence is what affects a decision. Lots of things could affect your decision. Could be things you care about, your goals, your budget, what your physical energy is like today. Lots of things can affect any decision that you make. Those are the things that influence you. When you allow yourself to be influenced by something, you are giving that influence in your life. So if you say, I care about this person, so they affect my decisions, you are giving that person the ability to influence you. People you care about probably influence your decisions. If you have a job that's important to you, things about your job may influence your decisions, like what time you get up in the morning. You're giving it influence. Status is a measure of influence. So how much influence something has in your life is how much status it has. Status is a measure of influence. So you could think, well, what has the most status in your life? Well, what has the most effect on your decisions? Things can happen to usurp status. So for instance, you might go to work every day, but then if one of your kids gets sick, that might usurp your decision. So something like illness often interrupts and affects status. special events like Christmas or family birthdays or something like that, that can cause you to change your normal routine. So something can cause status to change, either in the short term or in the long term. Let's focus on the breathing again. And you're flushing all of those structures in your body. You're flushing all of those levels of energy, of development, through time and across time. That's it. Keep flushing. So often it's useful to kind of challenge where you give status. You know, what made this important? Why am I doing this? Do I really want this to have as much status as it does in my life? And it's very interesting. You know, I've gone through a lot of changes in the last few years. So, you know, I sold the house, Beach Grove. You know, Wayne retired. We wanted to downsize. We wanted lots of things. And we were, for a period, we lived in our van for months while we were sorting out, selling the house, finding the place we wanted, moving into it. There's nothing like living in a van to make you question what is actually important, because there's only a few things that fit. And it, you know, I can laugh, and it is funny, but I was very conscious of that I have all of this stuff. I have an amazing amount of stuff, and yet I can comfortably live in this van. There's a, you know, a contradiction there. So we had purged a lot of stuff because we knew we were moving into a much smaller house, and then we put everything else in storage. So we had this storage locker that was 20 by 10. And Wayne said, you know, by the time we were done, you wouldn't be able to put another pencil in there. Like, it was crammed to the rafters. And then we lived in the van for a few months, and we're going, why do we have all this stuff? You know, what's in the storage locker that I think I need, you know? And so then we moved into the house and we purged more stuff. And I'm sure we'll purge more again. The thing is, so much of what you give influence, it's strictly habit. You know, it's just because you fell into doing it for whatever reason. It seemed like a good idea at the time. And you don't think to question it because it's just what you do. So, you know, why do you get up at the time you get up? You know, why do you do the things you do during your day? Because the things you do during your day are where you give influence. This is what is defining your life. Day by day, you spend the currency of your life. You spend the currency of your life. Every choice you make, if you choose coffee or tea or water, every choice you make, that's gone now. That choice is over, it's been done, it's been spent. And time exists in this reality. Time exists. That means you'll never make that choice again. It's over, it's spent. And we do so many things on automatic. We do so many things without thinking about them. It's really easy to just spend the currency of your life without even considering that that's what you're doing. So now we challenge that and say, okay, what do I actually want? It's a very difficult question because we're so programmed to do what other people need, or what we think is right, in your quotes, right, you know, based on our culture, based on what society expects of us, how we define being a woman or a partner or a sister or a friend or a mother or an employee. You know, there are all these things that influence us. And the question is, do we really want those things to influence us? Do we want those things to define who we are and what we live and how we spend our life? Authority is status in a niche. So status is the measure of influence. Authority is status in a niche. So if you have a job, then at work your boss might have a lot more status than they do when you leave work and go home. Right? A child who's sick may have more status than the child who's well. They need more. Okay? A younger child probably has more status than the child who's, left home and is living on their own. They probably have less impact on your day-to-day life once they've left home. Doesn't mean you love them less. Still love them to bits. They probably have less effect on your day-to-day life after they've moved out. If you have sons, you probably spend less time putting the toilet seat down. Just practical realities, right? So authority is status in a niche. Your personal authority is determined by whether you give the most status to your being, your choices, yourself in any given niche. Yeah, there were some fun faces for that one. Everybody went clunk. Oh.
Totally blanked out. I didn't hear anything.
It's a good thing we have a recording, hey? So, authority is status in a niche. Your capacity to have authority in your life is determined by whether you give the most status to your being, your choices, being true to you in any given niche. Because your personal authority in your life, the niche is your life. As opposed to the boss who has a niche at work, or the school principal who has a niche at the school, or the cop who has a niche when they pull you over. Your authority, the niche is your life. Yeah. Right? Interesting, huh? And so so what Estrella's saying is it looks separate, like I can have it there, but I can't have it there, and I can't have it there. Because what you've done is you've given authority elsewhere in those other places. Yeah, there's a lot of clunking, right?
I'm getting a lot of say what.
Yes, well, there's a lot of say what in the room too, ladies. I feel it from everywhere, I do. The fun part for me is I feel it for people who aren't even tuned in right now. And so pause a moment and consider, where in your life are the places that you have given authority in your life elsewhere, not to you?
Wouldn't that be anywhere you come across opposition?
It might be. It might be. Depends on how you react to opposition. Yes.
Can that be rephrased? Where you give authority to others instead of yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
You can delegate authority. Okay? Absolutely, you can delegate authority. The question is, are you always in choice?
Okay.
Are you always in choice? Because if you just say, oh, this person is in charge of whatever, fill in the blank, and then you don't ever question that, then that's not delegating authority. That means you're in submit. You've abdicated. You don't have that authority in your life. It's missing that. And so the difference between submit, which is you give up your choice, and acquiesce is when you say, okay, it's all right for them to be in charge here. So for instance, at work, it's okay for the boss to be in charge at work, except I always choose. The authority is not absolute because I delegate that authority. And every single moment I decide whether I give them that authority or not. Make sense? A little bit, maybe, sort of.
It does. It does make sense. I feel that. So if you take the analogy of the boss, and maybe you have to work
Yep.
because you have to eat.
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know that you would be in choice about going to work in that,
Well, hold on. Okay, because that's exactly why I use it's a simple example.
right,
Using the boss is a simple
Yes.
example because you're going, yeah, well, I got to buy the groceries and pay the rent or whatever. Here's the thing. You could decide to go live in a cardboard box on the street. You could.
you're right.
Okay? So here's the thing. If you think, well, no, I can't quit or I can't leave because then I wouldn't have this job. That's right. You wouldn't have this job. That still needs to be an option. It still needs to be an available choice.
Okay.
And that's the difference. Because if it's not an available choice, you will incur PTSD.
Yes.
Okay? You will incur PTSD if you feel like it's not an available choice.
Okay.
So,
If you finish the story on that.
well, here's the thing. So you can say, well, I choose to be in this job because it allows me to eat like this and live like this, and that's my choice. The thing is, I can choose something else. Then it's your choice. That's different than I can't leave.
Okay.
That's
So
different than,
I choose to be there.
yep,
And it comes with a boss.
and a price. So
So the price is the boss.
it could be the boss,
It could be paperwork that I need to do. It could be all
right?
So if I what's that?
Could be getting up at 7 a.m.
Yes, no, you're right.
All
It could
these
be
are
of
prices.
that. So, but in speaking of authority,
Yes,
okay, so it comes with a boss,
yes.
and the analogy was to be in choice to give the boss the authority. Because,
So
okay,
delegate, not give,
sorry.
delegate.
Okay, thank
Because if you
Delegate.
give it to them, it implies that
Submit.
you can't take it back.
Okay,
You've given them authority, now they own it? No, they don't ever own it. They don't ever own the authority. Critical difference. You delegate the authority,
okay.
which means every moment you have a choice.
Because I could take my authority back, which will have a consequence of probably losing my job, so I can make another choice and go buy groceries.
Right? And so this is the key. If you're speeding and a cop pulls you over,
Yeah.
you could tell him where to go, and that would have a price. And so
Choice has a price.
every choice has a price. And so in the moment, you have to make a decision, whether you're going to acquiesce to his authority to give you a ticket. If you fight about it, there's going to be consequences. We're not children. Everything has a price. Everything has a price. And so the key is to be aware of the choice you're making instead of, this is just the way it is.
Okay.
Key thing.
Something just clicked it out.
So probably the reason why I've been driving so angrily is because I have submitted, because I'm driving my mother places, submitted to my mother rather than said, I have chosen to acquiesce to put up with her shit right now. And instead, I've submitted to that shit and allowed it to bug me.
That's right. Because what you feel like is you don't have a
I don't
choice,
want to be there, so I am cursing at people as I rip them down the road.
right? So you could say, well, okay, I don't have to drive her. You don't. And it's when you know that, when you go, and you have to, like sometimes you have to, dance yourself through this in your head, is, like, okay, because you'll fall into the automatic pattern. It's been there for a while,
50 years.
right? It's been there for a while. It's a well-grooved rut. So you have to step back and say, okay, look, I don't have to drive her, and I don't have to put up with her crap. I could pull over and give her a kick out to the curb.
Big collar cap.
You could call her a cab. The thing is, you could call her an Uber. You could find a nice. The thing is, you have these options, and if you don't, there's a reason you don't, and you need to tell the truth about your reason, whether it's buying groceries or what you
Now I
Right?
have an option.
right? Whatever you've defined for yourself, there's a reason you're doing it. Sometimes the reason is because you're in submit and you've never questioned it. Sometimes that's the reason. And it's about allowing yourself to take a step back and say, you know, this is just what's right for me. This is what I need to do to feel right about myself, or, you know, there's all sorts of reasons to do it. The more you're telling the truth about your reasons for doing it, the more you can get yourself to choice. And if the choice is, you know, like, I just won't feel right if I don't drive her, and I'm not saying that's how you feel, but, you know, that can be it. Like, you know, she may drive me crazy and I may be gritting my teeth. The thing is, I know I'm doing this because this is what feels right for me.
But now that I know I have an out if I need it, that
Yes.
changes things.
Yes. Right. There are also lots of senior services
Oh, I know.
that will basically do the driving of her.
It's not the driving, it is the accompanying with during.
They have services for that too.
Yep.
They do. Yes, but she's not going to take them if she can call on you.
Because she has a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? So of course she prefers you. However, it's whether the choice is accessible for you.
And I did speak up last time and say, enough of this, it's been 50 years, I don't need to hear it again.
Right?
And there was silence, and then she started talking about something else.
Good. See? Makes all the difference, right? We do things so much on automatic, we don't even consider that we have a choice. So we have all of this trauma, and there's lots of times when you feel like the thing you did is, you know, whether it's drive your mom or go to work or whatever, you feel like it's the right thing to do, folks. Because you were not consciously aware that you had a choice, even though you felt like it was the right thing to do, there's pain. And it's stuck in there. And in order to release it, you have to first acknowledge that you weren't making a choice at that time. You may have thought you made a choice. You may have thought you made a choice because it felt like the right thing to do. The thing is, you didn't actually acknowledge that you could, in fact, do something else. Because this was the right thing to do. So why would you even consider that you could go live in a cardboard box? Like, you know, really, I have a job. Why would I think about, you know, how I would decorate a cardboard box? I was having this and I said, what you really want is a refrigerator box, because they have strapping. It's not just cardboard. They actually have little pieces of wood to support it because, you know, fridges are heavy. So if you have to move into a cardboard box, you want the fridge box. Like, really.
You know, I guess, you know, we often hear, or I can hear this, well, I'll just do the worst, the best of two evils. Yeah, the best of two evils. When in fact, neither one is a choice.
Correct. Because you're not actually making a choice.
No, you're not making a choice.
Right? And so we deceive ourselves that we've made a choice. Of course I'm in this job because I want to be. You know, of course I'm driving my mother because it's the right thing to do. Of course, you know, of course I'm taking care of my family. Of course I'm whatever. And you'll have these conversations with yourself, which is, well, you know, these are my values, or, you know, this is my idea of how I should mother, or this is my idea of how I should be a professional, or this is my idea of, you know, this is who I am. So of course I'm doing the right thing, and of course I'm being true to myself. And you don't even realize there was never an actual choice made, because there was never an alternative available. Because you've got this idea of what it's supposed to be, and so no choice exists.
A lot more money.
That's okay, that works for you. So now go back to the breathing. You got these balls that are spinning through you and around you, through all of those versions of you stacked up inside you. And you are breathing into those cells, filling up that light and flushing through layers, flushing through structures. And what you know now is there's all kinds of pain trapped in there, tons of it. And it will express in your body, it will express in your emotions, it will express in your self-image. It will express in your internal dialogue. It will express by mirroring from what's around you, which is the most annoying part of all, okay? Because then you do that, like, why have I got this in my life? Well, this would be why, because you've got buckets of pain in there you didn't even realize are there. So of course they're trying to show you, so they'll be around you, and people presenting you with all sorts of things. So let's do the easy ones first. Some of it, just sheer recognition, will allow it to release. So think about allowing that breath to flush the stuff that it can just go. It can go from your tissue, it can go from those fibers, from your bones, it can go from your energy, it can go from your organs, it can go from your emotions, it can go from your pathways, it can go from all of your being. And all of these versions of you. Think about letting the breath flush it out for them too. Just flush it out, flush it out, flush it out. And then now we'll pick at some other stuff. So for instance, our culture respects commitment. And sometimes commitment is actually obligation. Sometimes it's a trap. Sometimes it's hiding your choices from you. So for instance, if you have a child, you're supposed to be committed to your child. You're not supposed to decide when they're 5 that you've had enough and put them up for adoption. Like, that would be frowned upon. And I want you to just pause and consider, can you even process that as an option? And the key is to allow it to be a choice. And you can say, well, my values don't allow that. That's okay. Recognize that that is you saying, this choice exists, now here's what I decide. Here's what I decide. Because that's different than the choice doesn't exist. If you have a boss, you have the option of beating them over the head with a stapler. Most workplaces have staplers. If they don't, you can get one and bring it to your workplace. And if you don't, recognize the choice is real. It does exist. Sure, it has a price. Of course it has. Every choice has a price. If you don't allow yourself to recognize the choice, you forbid yourself from having authority in your life. Because this is about recognizing that you do the things you do because you do in fact choose to, whether you do it as a conscious choice or not. Every time you've done it on automatic, you've stored pain. Think about people who bug you, that you have never punched in the face. Right? Good for you. Margot said she did once. Good. So pause and think. There are people who you could have punched in the face that you didn't. Did you allow yourself to actually make that decision? I could, in fact, hit this person with a stapler. I could keep a stapler about my person at all times in case I wanted to beat someone with it. I could do that. It's whether you allow yourself to genuinely consider this as an option.
As soon as you started talking about this, it's like my stomach's talking, gurgling and moving, and I'm like, oh.
That's all the mirroring stuff, right? So is it your physical stomach or is it your intestines? Yeah, so that's lower, okay? So your physical stomach is the I discover me chakra, and you discover you in relation to. You can't be tall unless somebody's short. So everybody around you gives you an experience of you.
Yes.
Okay? Then the one below your belly button, the sacral chakra, is I am me. Okay? And when you're gurgling like that, it's a conflict between them. Right?
Yes.
So the conflict is you're afraid to find out who you are. Right? You are. That's why you're here. Right? So you're here, you're doing it. The thing is you have to acknowledge this is terrifying stuff. That's okay. Like what we're doing flies in the face of normal. How, well, really. It really does fly in the face of normal. It absolutely is pain. Normal is pain. And so I'm good with abnormal. I really am.
So I was just checking another chakra.
Which one? The I discover me?
There's
So the base chakra is I am safe. Sacral is I am me. Solar plexus is I discover me. And I'm not going to do the rest because it'll distract us. You can get the book. You probably have it. Right? Yes, stay near a bathroom. Absolutely. You did good because you did not, wake up in the middle of the night, sit up and projectile vomit. Because I can't tell you how many times I've heard that one. Right?
Our first session, I had that.
Yeah.
Took me a long time.
Right?
I've heard that, yeah.
Right? I used to get random emails, like you could tell because they're sent at 2 a.m. And I just sat up and threw up and it's all your fault.
Stop doing that.
Right?
So those of us that don't get it, just start picking it up, or?
No.
You just do it a different way. Okay.
I learned how to do it a different way right after that.
Right? So. No, it's just because Estrella had said, and I had to run him back and forth to the bathroom. Is that too much information? Not even close. You're not even near.
The word was oscillating.
Right?
It was,
Yeah, I hear you.
and I thought I should have a six-pack after it was done, because that's how much was,
Right?
sorry, too much.
That's after playing Trisha's tapes for 14 hours over a few days.
Yeah.
For you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I only read 10 pages of Andrew's
Science
sense
of knowing.
Yeah,
I can't read it. Yeah.
it's,
It's pretty powerful.
mm.
Yeah. And if you can't, you just crack it open and take
Yeah,
a sentence.
that's
Take
all
a
I
sentence.
did. I
That's
cracked
all.
it open, it was
Yep.
bang right there.
Yep. And this is our idea of a good time. You gotta wonder, right? Some days you just gotta wonder, right?
This pain is from the jaw.
Yeah. That's suppressed aggression. So I've been talking about beating people with staplers. That's all of the times you've wanted to beat someone with a stapler.
Go for a bath.
Right?
Baseball.
Absolutely.
It's
You
the
know?
long staplers that they use for, the big pieces.
Yeah.
Right?
Those are the ones I'm thinking of.
Right?
Little dinky things.
You know?
And these
Oh,
little big,
yeah.
2.5 foot.
Right? Or flamethrowers. It's like what works for you, right? The thing is, how often have you thought you were making a choice because it was the right thing to do. And it probably even felt like right, you know, probably even felt right. Except it wasn't an actual choice.
This is your Ally McBeal thing
It is,
from one of the CDs I listened to.
right? I don't know if you ever remember, there was a show with Ally McBeal, and she'd be sitting at work, and she'd have this fantasy, and in the fantasy, she'd pick up a stick and beat someone with it, or, you know. It was great. I thought that was hysterical. Very, that's fun.
I just like their whole bathroom
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Go with that.
So I had bathroom.
So, I want you to think of, pick an age, okay, just pick a number, and let the number come, and then think, what is something you thought you were choosing at that time? Something that felt like the right thing to do, that you would have had no idea how to even make a choice. Or that even perhaps a choice existed, you know? Did you even have a concept of choice at that age? Right? And so, here's what you know. Find that version of you that's stacked up inside you. Find her, let her light up, or let her make you aware of her. And now, find all that pain that she's holding. And let's breathe it out, flush it out. Let the double ball neutralize it. Let the energy flush out. Let the tissue flush. Let all of those structures flush. The physical ones, the energy ones, mental ones. Let it all flush. Let all of the layers of the brain structures flush. Look for this particular version of you and see, how does she hold it? Is it something physical? Does it look like wires? Is it a color? Is it a thought pattern? Is it an energy block? Or is it all of those things? How does this version of you hold the pain? And what do you need to do to release it? Is there something that needs to be unlocked? Is there something that needs to be dissolved? Is there a permission that you need or she needs? Does it need to be untangled from something? Is there a belief that's anchoring it? Something that could be like commitment. You know, we're taught to be committed to our choices. If you take up some activity as a child, you're not supposed to quit, because that's quitting, right? And so if you're not supposed to quit, where's the choice in that? That's it. Flush it out. Flush it out. And it may be that the adult you needs to go, pull it out by the roots. Do it with comfort and do it with love. Do it with comfort and do it with love. I know if I say pull it out by the roots, it sounds like it should hurt. And if you do it with love, it can be absolutely without pain, absolutely without effort. Because the love can just dissolve it and release it. So process that. Because, these words come out of my mouth for a reason. The idea of pulling it out, you automatically think you have to hurt. So now allow yourself to shift that. So, you know what? This is easy. This is easy. right? Allow yourself choice. That's the key. Allow yourself choice. And if you struggle with that, remember that you're a model for the people around you. You're a model for your inner children. You're a model in the world. How you treat the inside of you will be expressed outside of you. The more you can bring love into your interactions with yourself, the more you manifest love expressing in the world. If you find yourself looking at things like, the state of politics or the state of whatever's going on in the world, what is going on with that? Then just pause and consider how loving you are to the little ones inside you. Because the world is your mirror. That's it. Now wrap her up in love. And, something has been released, so let's fill her up with love. Fill her up with love and courage. Thank her for holding that all these years. And ask her if she wants a new job or if she's okay to simply be full of joy. If she wants a new job, think about what that could be. She was very brave and she released all that pain. Maybe she can help other versions of you to release pain.
So if you picked up, you said just made
Yep.
and it was the only time that you actually felt you made your own choices, how does that correspond to what you're saying now? Like, does she need to come out
So
now?
basically what happened is you thought you were making a choice. The thing is, it's kind of like if I said, well, here, you can have all of the glasses from this one. So she couldn't see choices. Right? Her capacity to choose was limited by the choices that were actually perceived. Right? Because probably beating people with a stapler wasn't in the list.
No, I'm not totally,
Yeah.
like I understand what you're trying to say, but
Yep.
it was the only time.
That you felt like you made a choice.
Yeah, I was making choices because I was making choices, right? I wanted to go out west because I wanted to go out west, so I just went.
Yes.
Right? I didn't care what anybody else thought or did. I went out there. I had 3 PFO levers before I went, but I went out and found a job, right? So
Yes.
so what am I getting from that? That's the place I kick.
It means that you were in rebel.
Yeah.
Right? So you felt like you were making choices. The thing is, if you're in rebel, the only choices you can see are to withdraw from resources and to feel like you can't meet the requirements.
However, could it not be a sense of adventure?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I'm taking a choice. I'm going to go see what the Wild West is all about.
Yes. The thing is,
That's still rebel.
so the reason you can guess that it might be rebel is because when you were, pick the age that you have all this pain stored, and that's where you went.
Well, no, I didn't hear the pain part. I just heard pick an age, right? So I just picked an age. That's the first thing that came to me.
Yeah. So
So I,
you may not be cognizant of the fact of the setting that was built. The thing is, you were here. You actually did hear it, even if you didn't hear it. You still went there for a reason. Like, you know this is not an accident, right? And so what you know for sure is that girl has pain held. So look and see it. In whatever form you choose, whatever form your brain chooses to represent it, what does it look like? How is the pain held?
I don't see it. I bet you pick any other age and see pain all over. Just the only time that I didn't feel or see pain.
Okay.
So that's why.
Where did you put it? Just in the same way you said, okay, I said pick an age, you picked an age. Okay. Where'd you put it?
Like where they put that age. That
No.
pain.
Where is her pain? You're saying I can't see it? Where'd you put it?
Oh, the things she left behind.
It's okay. It's still in her.
And I don't see the things, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't feel I left things.
That's okay.
Because
Yeah. It was an adventure. It was all fun. It's like, this doesn't make anything wrong, right? Like, these decisions you make are not wrong. It's like Margot driving her mother. It's not wrong.
No.
It's recognizing that there's patterns in the subconscious and things that are not accessible. So where I see it is in, there's like a tissue that is a coating for bones. Okay? So that,
Which makes sense because it was 25 and that's when you're fully ossified.
okay, see?
Tissue for bones.
What-
Periosteum.
Okay, that's even the word for it. Say it louder, because
Periosteum.
periosteum. Okay, it's there. That's where it is. So now look and see, can you see it? So the other ones, you said I could see at every other age except this one. Now what's interesting is if you're putting it in the coating of your bones, one, the coating tissue is cognitive. That's that level of the brain versus the other two, okay? You said, 25, you're fully ossified. It sounds like you should be drunk, okay?
Oh yeah, well, there's a lot of that too, but anyway.
Well, and it's so your bones are fully formed. That means your structure is fully formed. Okay? So this is the coating of the structure. So
Tends
it's
to be also the most painful in our body.
the place where you...
Periosteum has the most nerve pain.
Okay. That's interesting.
So like, when you hit your
Yeah,
tibia,
yep.
it's so painful because
That's what you're hitting. Okay. So here's the interesting thing. If it's nerve pain, that goes to brainstem. And brainstem is the immutable beliefs. This is the way it has to be. This is the, I would think that was a crisis point for defining being female and what it is. And 25 is an interesting age to do that because most people do that 16 or 18, but like clearly that's what was going on in your breaking free and discovering an adventure. Part of that was breaking, in your mind you would have been breaking free of what people told you to be and therefore defining who you thought you should be, except it's that you're breaking free in a chute. Do you see what I mean? And so your capacity to define what being female meant for you was within the context of this and all of the this that went with it. So it's in that tissue. You can explore, see if you want to find it. Always, because when something comes up, it's for everybody. So knowing that you're carrying stuff in that tissue, let's breathe it out. Because everybody's got it or it wouldn't come up. Yeah. So bones hold immutable beliefs anyway. They hold the beliefs where gravity works, age happens, things happen. Okay, we're going to talk about trannies for a while. I know people who have had surgery to change their sexual biology. This physically exists in the world today. I bet you it wasn't on your radar when you were 25. So it's a choice that wasn't available. I'm absolutely not interested in, like, there's no path there that belongs to you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you should have become a transvestite. Like, that's not where I'm going with this. Okay?
The thought didn't exist.
The thing is, the thought didn't exist. Because the thought didn't exist, that's part of the tunnel. You could only explore within the tunnel, right? So it's fun because it's that like whole break free thing. I know I moved to BC when I was 19, and I thought I was really adventurous. And I can look back now and see the tunnel. I couldn't see it then. I thought I was conquering the world, right? I really did, which is funny. The thing is, you're in the tunnel. You can't see out, and you've broken free of a bunch of stuff. That's the truth, and I think that's the most insidious part of this. Like, we're not going after things that are regrets. We're not going after things that felt like mistakes. We're going after the things that felt right that still held pain. Okay? Things that felt right that held pain, and they held pain because you thought you were making a choice, but the choice was limited, right? And that's the tunnel thing. You thought you were making a choice. The thing is, one of your options was not to become a transvestite. Wasn't there as an option. So it's like if I say, pick all of the pencils from this one pencil. That's not a real choice. So you say, well, yeah, but I had 10 pencils. Yeah, but you didn't have 157 or 1,000,000 or infinite pencils. So you thought you were making big choices, and you were. The thing is, there's still pain, and it's in that specific tissue, and it's built into the structure, which means it's built into what you believe can't change. And it's what you believe can't change for you specifically about being a woman. Right? So pause and consider. What do you believe can't change about being a woman? Like, if you think about that.
Being accepted as one.
Being accepted as a woman? Mm-hmm.
I guess by that I mean how others perceive me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I am changing.
I'm watching Outlander, which is a time travel story, right? So she is a World War II Army nurse, and she time travels back 200 years to, medieval Scotland, okay? Right? So it's fascinating and brutal and all kinds of things, and she was into herbal medicine anyway, so she's able to use all that. So I mean, she almost gets burned as a witch. She almost gets all the things that The thing is, one of the things that she keeps tripping over is how they treat women. So she ends up she's married to this guy for political reasons, so they don't kill her, And she says, "You can't tell me what to do." And he says, "I'm your husband. I damn well can't tell you what to do. Of course I can tell you what to do." And she's going, "I own you." He literally said, "I own you." That's interesting. And it's, so they do a better job in the books, of course, because there's more space, but they do a really good job of that. And she's 1945 arguing with him about her rights as a woman, and he's going, "Your property," I mean, he's a nice guy, Imagine if he wasn't, right? And she's 1945. Wow, right? So what are the things that we believe? So that's what you're connecting to, is what people expect from you because, what people require from you because.
And what I require.
Absolutely, right? We're supposed to be the nurturers. We're supposed to be the caregivers. We're supposed to be, fill in all of those things. We're supposed to be the sacrificers. What do you believe is immutable because you're female? And then breathe all of that out. The thing is, breathe it out even if you think it's true. Because the point of breathing it out is to allow you to choose. Even if this would be your choice. Even if you say, yes, well, I'll only, have earrings. I'll only wear earrings because I'm female. Even if you think it's true, breathe it out. You can still choose to only wear earrings. Then it's a choice. So getting rid of the immutable stuff is allowing the choice to exist.
And you have to have both sides. So my thought was, it's immutable if you're female that you're going to be used.
See?
So you have to accept that option
Yes.
as a choice, as part of the reality in order to choose not to.
Yes. Because you have to be safe with all of the options. Right?
Instead of accepting the pattern of being used,
Yes.
you can be safe with the idea of it, whether you choose to accept it or not.
Well, and actually, you need to be safe if you are used.
Yeah.
So that you can decide what to do about it and decide how to move forward and
And be
access
safe with the
strategy.
knowledge that you have been.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a topic, I'm not sure, but why am I seeing covered mushrooms everywhere when I try to get in?
Ah.
Like, what is that? Because I was in a while ago.
Okay. So it's a symbol for fantasy for you.
Oh.
So it's the what you just said is, I have to live in this fantasy to cope with being a female.
No.
So an example of that would be, women are used, but they're also taken care of. Yeah, see? No, I don't want that crap.
No, I'm not. I'm like, oh.
Damn it. Yeah.
Sort of,
You can choose both.
Yes.
You can choose both.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And then a couple of comments here. Sarah Friend joined us.
Yes.
She says, family, feel pain in my spleen, 7-year-old self in choice with a close friend, but not in my family. Really hard to type and see what I'm sending. Sorry if it comes out as confusing.
That's okay. We have all of this language that is very literal. So when somebody says they're venting their spleen, it means they're expressing anger. So the pain in your spleen is because you didn't ever express that anger. You may not even have connected with it. And you can see, when you can see the possibility with a friend and recognize that you don't have that, the key there is that you felt it was impossible to have it. Instead of saying, this is something I can manifest, or instead of recognizing that you could leave the family and go somewhere else. Like you can't see out of the tunnel. This is the key. So you say, well, this family doesn't have that. Do I want to stay with the family and get it from elsewhere? Or do I want to leave the family? All of the choices exist. It's possible that you could have the family and have that. The thing is, like, shifts like that can only happen if you're safe with all of the possibilities. If you're safe with all of the choices. And it's that same thing of, you don't even, like, transvestite's not even on your radar. Leaving the family is not even on your radar. Because it's not on your radar, you can't get to safe with all of the possibilities. It doesn't mean you should do it. It's not that. It's allowing yourself to have authority and choice. Okay, so flush. We've got a lot of stuff to flush from this tissue. We've got a lot of stuff to flush about immutable beliefs about being female, immutable beliefs in general. And there's a whole bunch of anchoring here that's about, like, pain's a given. I got to tell you, there's a huge set of cultural beliefs that, women in pain is synonymous, like being female and being in pain is synonymous. Huge. And so I think that's where we're going with this. I think we're putting together the pieces to get to that, to release it. So,
Interesting. Sorry, sidebar.
Yep.
When women have heart attacks,
Yes.
it's different than when a man has a heart attack. Yeah. Because they just think it's just, I'm not feeling well, I'm just uncomfortable.
Yes.
So they don't actually think of it as pain. So they actually have more damage to the heart than men, because men have pain. It's like, okay, I got pain, I gotta go, right?
Right.
So we think of the pain differently.
Yes.
I don't know why that came up, but that's.
Yes. Well, because it's like not even recognizing that you're in pain,
Right.
that it's a problem.
Yeah.
Like not even recognizing pain is a problem. Doesn't even go together, right? Like, you're in pain, oh well, sure.
I just read an article that there is a male birth control that got created. The side effects were bloating, nausea, whatever, the exact same side effects as women.
They won't take it.
They won't. They said
Nope.
we can't have men suffer like this.
Yeah.
And they took it off the show.
Right?
Because what we have is natural.
Right.
Was the exact same symptoms, and they stopped making it.
It's a huge difference when a man has testosterone removed from his body. His whole brain changes. I live it. That's all. It's amazing to see how they change without having the testosterone need to be a man. He says, all that crap is gone from your life. You don't have all that energy wasted.
Weaker sex.
Weaker.
Sex.
Yeah, exactly.
They're treated like that, but they have so much more potential, which is unfortunate.
Interesting, right?
So,
Hold on.
Michelle had a quick comment. She said the pain is because we're not truly free to make the infinite choices.
So, pain is a given. I know I'm not supposed to say things like that. The thing it is, because there is a price. Okay? So even when you make a choice, and it's, it's the choice that you're congruent with, there could be pain. It's okay. It's okay. You could say, here's an example. You could decide to go to Florida for 2.5 months and you're not physically seeing your children. That has pain. And I can phone them and Skype them and all that kind of stuff. The thing is, there's still an ache that goes with being away from them, right? It was still the right choice to make. And I'll do it again next year. I still need to tell the truth about that price and comfort myself for that and deal with that and do what I need to do, which is, go see them when I get home and maul them all, You just have to sit with me for a while and let me touch you.
Is pain then like an emotion, the chemistry that you let the pain flow and go?
Yes. Pain is a message from your subconscious that change is required. That is what pain is. Pain is a message from your subconscious that change is required.
So I was going to say, to me, it's a resource, right? So if a woman is not accessing that,
Yes,
that's a resource that we're not accessing.
yes,
It's information.
yes. Right?
I like that.
Yeah.
That resonates.
It's important information.
So can you say that again?
Yes. So, I said pain is a message from your subconscious that change is required.
Right.
Tony's saying we're not accessing that information. When you deny the pain, you cut yourself off from the information. Information is a resource. Emotion is a message from your subconscious. If you can't access what you're feeling, if you can't identify the information and what you're feeling, again, you're cut off from a resource.
But we are taught not to feel pain.
We're taught not to feel emotion either.
To,
We're taught not to feel all sorts of emotion.
so when I point out to my clients to actually feel pain, what does it feel like? Or go to that place, it goes away.
Yeah.
Because all I need to do is access it.
Get the information, and then it's obsolete. So one of the pieces of information for me was, I had to tell the truth about the price of being away from my kids like that, okay, and make that part of the equation and how long I decide to go and what I need to do to comfort me. I mean, like my youngest son, he does not talk on the phone, but he's very sweet. So I text him and say, I need to talk to you on the phone. Like, I need at least 10 minutes. Tell me when that's a good time. He's like, okay, Mom, I love you. And so he'll get on the phone, and he's not like, he doesn't talk on the phone. He doesn't do that, right? It's like, okay, how do we pass this time? So right? Okay,
It's a generation, I think, isn't it?
No.
No, because once
No.
I see him, if I go see him, like he's online.
Yeah.
So the phone thing.
Yeah, he's not good with that. Yeah, I mean, Andrew will talk on the phone for hours. Like, he's totally fine with it. So it's a personality thing, I think.
No, because my son says that he and his friends say that the only reason that they go on the phone is to talk to grandparents or order a pizza. That's
Yeah.
how they describe it.
Yeah, well,
Otherwise, there's no talking.
yeah, I think it's a personality thing. I understand what you're saying, that they come from a world of texting and stuff.
Yeah.
I still think it's a personality thing.
Couple more?
Hold on.
Sure.
Pause and consider how much information you've been forbidden. Right? By not being allowed to know what you feel, by not being allowed to know the pain. How can you possibly make an informed choice if you have disconnected from the pain information and the emotion information? Right? How can you possibly make an informed choice? This is a lot of information. Okay? Focus on the breath. I'll be there in a minute, Maggie. Focus on the breath. And we're flushing all of this out. Flush out the forbidding. Flush out the limiting of information. Pause a moment and think of a time when somebody didn't tell you something that was important for your decision. You've all had that experience, where you find out later they didn't give you some piece of information that would have informed your decision. And it doesn't matter if it would have changed it. What's important is that you would have wanted to know that, making the decision. So it could be there was a hidden price that you didn't know about. It could be there's a shoe dropped later. It could be other people were invited that you didn't know about. There's lots of ways that can happen. It could be pieces were added to the job that they didn't tell you about. It could be that, this is the sports activity, you didn't know there was, going to be some extra piece of equipment you had to buy. Like, there's so many ways that these things can happen. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. It's that feeling you get when you thought, well, I wish I'd known that. You know, even if you think, well, I still would have done it, but I wish I'd known that, right? And just pause and consider that feeling of, I wish I'd known that. That applies to all the pain you couldn't connect to and all of the emotion that you couldn't connect to. Because you didn't know. And you don't know if you would have done the same thing or felt the same way. Because you didn't have it. That's it. Flush it out. Flush it out. Okay, keep flushing. Okay.
Pat has a comment, and she talks about old age equals pain and suffering.
I think the pain that comes with old age is this accumulation of pain. I think it's like, right? It's the same as we form all these gestalts. You know how I talk about the stop sign story? You form these gestalts and then, okay, I'm getting some blank looks. I'm getting some blank looks, so I'll do it. Sorry? I know it's a psychology term. It's probably German. Thank you. Here's what happens. Yeah, I'll do the same old story. So, yeah, the guy drives to work every day. He goes through a four-way stop sign on his way to work. Okay, so he pulls up to the stop sign, you know, and waits his turn or takes his turn or whatever, goes on to work. Here's the thing about four-way stop signs. There's always some joker who doesn't obey the rules, right? It's supposed to be the guy on the right goes first. There's always some guy who's aggressive and jumps ahead, and yet what ends up happening is because everybody knows there's one of those, so everybody's cautious because they don't want to be in an accident, so they'll pull ahead and then they'll hesitate, and somebody else will get impatient and they pull ahead, but they're hesitate because, and it turns into this mess, right? So here's what happens is the expectation that goes with that stop sign is you could get cut off. It could be your turn, but you could get cut off. Well, your subconscious will anticipate threat. So before you even get to the stop sign, you will anticipate that you could get cut off. So your body chemistry will switch to having been cut off, even if it doesn't happen. And then before you know it, when the guy gets up in the morning, he's cranky because he's anticipating getting cut off. So he's in that aggressive, irritated, I've been cut off energy. But he doesn't know it because it's not a conscious thing. So his wife says, what's wrong with you? He says, I hate my job. Because he has to make up a story for what's going on in his body. So what does he do? He jumps to something, or I hate traffic, or, he makes up a story because he doesn't know that the feeling he has is anticipating the stupid stop sign. Like, why would he wake up in the morning cranky and think, man, I gotta go through that stop sign, somebody's gonna cut me off, and it doesn't happen all the time. Except that for his body it does, because his body anticipates it. Okay? He has formed a gestalt, which is there's a pattern of expectation. The emotion occurs even if the event doesn't occur. One day he's at work, the wife phones and says, stop at the store, get the milk and eggs. So he pulls into the supermarket and he gets the cart and he heads for the back of the store because they put the milk and eggs at the back because they know the women will pick up 47 things on their way to the milk and eggs. Men go get the milk and eggs. They don't remember that maybe they should pick up some cheese because you ran out last night. They don't do that. They get the milk and the eggs, and that's it. So he goes to get his milk and eggs. He's driving his cart down. When he gets to the bottom of the aisle, somebody comes across the perpendicular aisle, and he's furious because he got cut off. Here's why. It isn't about the story or the setting. It is about the set of emotion being invoked. And when you invoke that same set of emotion, It isn't just for the event that you're in, it's for every time that you have had that emotion. It accumulates like beads on a string. Every time he had the stop sign experience, another bead gets added. Every time he has that I've been cut off feeling, he doesn't just have it for that moment, he has it for all of the stop signs are right there in the supermarket with him. So he reacts out of proportion to the event. Okay? Anytime you find yourself reacting out of proportion to the event, it's because of that. So what we're doing when we do things like unlock, when we do things like clearing these gestalts, you're taking away the influence of the past so that you can be in the moment, and it can be without all of that baggage. It's like you keep the beads, you cut the string. You have the memories. What you don't need is their influence in this moment. They can inform it, they can inform you, they can inform your decision because you have the wisdom of these experiences. They don't have to influence your experience. Focus on your breath. We're breathing out all of this conditioning. So I think that we form all of these gestalts through time. It's just part of how we function. So as you age, you have more and more gestalts. There's less and less capacity to have clean experiences. People start out, when they first learn how to drive, they want to drive everywhere, just to drive. They'll go for drives. And as that time goes by, they hate to drive. They hate the traffic, they hate the noise, they hate the other drivers, and that's all their gestalts, because they formed all of these associations. The more we clear this out, the more capacity we have to have healthier bodies and happier lives.
And is that why older people tend to have their lives close in?
Smaller and smaller and smaller. Yeah. When we were in Florida, we would try different RV parks. And some of them were senior parks. I mean, like, they vary in personality quite a bit. So some of them, they have yoga all the time and things going on and stuff and activities. And some of them, the highlight of the week is bingo on Wednesday night. Mm-hmm. And that's like the big activity, right? Like, okay, this is not the place for me. My life is way bigger than this.
One more in Julie. She's having trouble getting a full breath in. Usual tight spot that feels like a black hole in her upper.
Yep.
Is she trying too hard to flush that area?
Hold on, I'm looking. It's like a whole set of child. So it's like it's this span from, I'm going to say 16 to 12-ish, like that range. And they've got this anger about the role of women. It's very, very specific, because like, you've cleared so much stuff, so I'm surprised this is there. It's always interesting. We have, like, you think after all the work we've done, and yet you go digging in something like this, and there's tons of crap, right? Like, really? Okay. So this one is very specifically oh, that's interesting. So it's very specifically that women are taught to seek approval in a way that men just aren't. So that's different than, like, it's different than be nice. It's different than take care of everybody. It's different than, but if you think about it, like, you know, women wear makeup, men don't. You know, women shave. Well, men shave. You know, yes, I know, but men do shave. You know, some of them. The thing is, women are taught to seek approval in a way that guys just aren't. It's like, it's different. High heels. It's funny, you know, because in Renaissance times. Men wore high heels, men wore makeup, men with wigs, all of that. But they wore the lace, they were the peacocks, like, yeah. And women were, yes. So this is very specific. It's very specific to having to seek approval, having to, and it's funny because like men do pecking order much more, much more consciously. But if you think about it, it's that like, if you put a bunch of guys in a room, it's like they've got the pecking order sorted out in 5 minutes flat, like before they even open their mouths. And they know it, and they sort it. And they might fight about it and challenge it, but the fact is they sort it out, and that's it. They don't seek approval. They don't do that. They don't do that, I have to put on makeup or do my hair to, okay, yes, they may dress for success. Yes, they may go to the gym. It comes with a different feeling. It comes with a different feeling. So if a guy is dressing for success or going to the gym, it's like he's seeking status. That's different than seeking approval.
Because approval you don't have any control over.
Correct.
Do you have control over status? Do you go to the gym and stuff?
You can command status.
Whether you're at the gym.
Yeah. So for instance, if somebody said to you, I want to influence your decision, and you said no, they can in fact beat the shit out of you, and that will influence your decision. Right? So you can command status. Right? Pain, right?
That's stapler.
Got bigger staples, new staples.
So, pain has high status, if you think about it. So,
Your mom.
right? So what's interesting is pain has a high status, and yet women have been taught to not acknowledge the pain,
Except to
Mine
get
is at the same
status.
time.
And yet to hold it.
right?
Yeah. And yet to hold it.
So they'll use illness to get status. They'll use illness to get attention. People do that,
But we can't really access it as a resource.
right?
Where's the responsibility piece of that?
Of the using pain for status, or the avoiding knowing the pain's there, which,
Avoiding knowing the pain is there, there's a responsibility piece too.
yes, because we're back to, if you don't have the information, you can't make an informed decision. So you're denying, like if you're denying knowing you're in pain, you're denying knowing the effect that pain has on you and on others. So that is irresponsible. The thing is, it's twisted because that's what you're taught is caring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
But also women are sort of known as the more responsible.
yeah.
As the caregivers
Yeah.
and
Then goes with guilt.
Yeah.
If it doesn't.
Well, and so it keeps going back. It's this weird, perverted thing, because you're supposed to be more caring, more responsible, more take care of everybody else. You're supposed to be denying your own pain because you're in sacrifice. And that's where it's the broken hero piece. You cannot be effective in caring for people when you're in pain. Your pain is going to affect everything you do. So, yes, okay, it doesn't mean you can't do things. You can do things that are caring for people. The thing is, that pain is present, and it's going to have its effect. I see you. We're back to the informed decision, right? Okay, so go and then go.
So fibromyalgia,
Yes.
like it
Tends to be more common in women, so how does that fit into this?
So every case I have seen of fibromyalgia is someone who's an empath who needs to learn how to shield. Every person I have ever worked with fibromyalgia, if they learn to effectively shield and let go of being codependent, it stops hurting.
So
Shielding and letting go of the outcome. So you have to learn to let go of the codependence. It has worked every time. Some people are faster, some people it takes longer. You know.
I can't tell you how many patients I see with fibromyalgia. It's like, holy good God.
Right?
Well, that's a really cool metaphor too for this holding pain, but not using it as a resource.
So the challenge,
It's just sort of debilitating.
The challenge they start with is they have no boundaries. So if anybody is in pain, they feel it. So the first thing they have to learn how to do is distinguish between their pain and somebody else's. That it is in fact not theirs, it is somebody else's. That's usually the determining factor of how long it takes them to be rid of it. Right? Yeah.
Women are responsible for caring about others, yet they have no control over it.
That's right.
So there's your...
Broken hero. That's the broken hero.
And it just digs you deeper.
Absolutely. It's all codependent. Breathe it out. If you want to be entertained, have a look at, and you've got all of these versions of you stacked up. Pick one of these aspects and just look at all of the pain being held on that one. So for instance, all of the pain being held on, you're supposed to be responsible. You don't know how to distinguish effect. And just look at all the pain in all the versions and where you put it, and what it looks like, and, right? Now, flush it out. Look at the one for women are supposed to seek, well, females are supposed to seek approval, and just see in all the versions of you. Notice how it's different when, the little girls, the teenagers, the woman, just notice how that changes, that you're supposed to seek approval.
And you can be harmed if approval is not found.
Absolutely. Oh, good one. Thank you. So,
Is it approval or objective?
well, that's where I'm going. Yeah, I heard it. So here's here's the thing: is that we're taught to seek approval. We're taught to accept all of the attention, even if it hurts, because you're supposed to seek approval. So then, if you get whistled at, or if you get negative comments, or all of that objectifying crap, you're supposed to accept that, even if it hurts.
And if you stand up for yourself, you can be attacked.
Well, yeah, that's true, always. So, you have to think about how to interact with that. I had this big discussion with my boys about Beauty and the Beast, and in the Disney version, the animated one, the start out song, she's singing this song about she wants more than the provincial life, and the song has built into it her limits. I forget the words of it now, but at the time it was driving me nuts, because it was like, she said, I just want more than this provincial life. I want to be able to, it was like, I want to be able to read books, or I want to be able to do this, or I want to, and it was like, the list she had of what she thought was more than the provincial life was extremely scary and sad. It was like, oh wow. But the thing is, that's all she could see, right? And so we had this big discussion about whether that was, her blocks or limits, or it was an attitude about women, and
Have you seen the new one?
No.
Supposed to be quite
it'll be interesting. The thing is, it's the same thing as being in the chute. Like, you don't realize how much you can't see, and it's, you can laugh when I say you didn't even consider whether you wanted a sex change operation. Like right now, today. Do you want a sex change operation? Y'all go, no, I don't think so. But you don't know, because it's not on your radar. It's not real. It's not a real question, right? It isn't a real question. Like, you don't think of it that way. I read a sci-fi book one time, and at that time, basically people would get in their machine in the morning and decide, what they were going to look like and be that day. And it would be very cool. So, you could get in the machine and get out to be, I don't know, a cat person, or you could get out to be another sex or another being of, like, all kinds of things, right? So they go through that decision. The thing is, we don't. We don't go through that decision, right?
So my age was 2, and mine was about eating food. So mine was the thought of, I have to eat what's put in front of me.
Yes.
But I wouldn't even have known what other choices of food there were.
Exactly.
Because I hadn't even tried everything yet.
Well, what's interesting is you would have known there were different kinds of food, because if you think about how you introduce food to babies, they introduce different flavor. Sometimes you might have carrots or you might have this, and those things get introduced to you as a baby. So you did get introduced to different.
Right.
So the concept of different does exist.
But it still would have been within the tunnel.
It still would have been within the tunnel. And there's all sorts of really clear evidence that we don't actually need food. So Buddha, simple thing. Buddha was the guy who sat under the tree and lived on water and a grain of rice a day. He didn't eat for 5 years. That was after. So she said, why is he so fat? It was after. So he went through this.
Whisper that one.
Yeah, it's okay. He went through this whole enlightenment thing. And what he said was,
Bring me cake.
right? What he said was, don't do what I did. Here's what I figured out. Take what I figured out and live in joy. So what do? They do deprivation. Deprivation. They do deprivation. Because what they believe is that he did deprivation and that's how he reached enlightenment. He says, don't do that. Here's what I figured out. Learn that. Live in joy. Right?
But all I've seen are the laughing Buddhas, the fat laughing Buddhas that are
Yes.
enjoying.
Yes.
I never knew about the deprivation.
Well, there's a lot of them,
That's Christian too.
it is lots of
But as far as more of the deprivation, it's more obvious.
right?
You'll get it in heaven when you're dead.
Yep. All right. Let's breathe out the deprivation as reward crap. Right?
I'm so blocking right there. Congestion?
You're what?
No, it's like I'm blocking. I can't even get into it. To the light on that.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
And where are you putting it? I can learn a new word for tissue. I don't remember the other word, but it was cool, and I know where to find it. It's in cartilage.
So go there.
So the deprivation as reward, it's in cartilage. There's lots of it. And you're not required to put it in the same place.
I just see it.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be like your nose, all your joints, there's a lot of it. Yeah, all of that.
So that means it's an immutable.
That would hurt.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
So women seeking approval explains a lot about women being so competitive with each other.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Interesting.
So your immutable beliefs are in your bones. How they express in your life is in the connective tissue. Okay, so like your tendons and ligaments and stuff. I don't know if cartilage is considered connective tissue, so we'll ask.
It is.
Thank you.
Tendons are connective tissue.
Oh yeah,
They
Yeah,
connect
'cause
the
they-
muscles to the
That,
bone.
thank you. I just thought it was under the
see?
tissue. I thought it
So
was
cartilage is a connective tissue?
Yes. Yeah. Well, Tony says and Joe says they're the people who would know. We have them in the house for that reason. We bring all the resources.
So say, I'm sorry, before you go back, say it
So
again?
bones hold immutable beliefs.
Yeah.
How they express in your life is in the connective tissue. Okay, so for instance, if you thought, life will always be a sacrifice, that could be an immutable belief. How it is a sacrifice, like how that lives in your life, for instance. So it could be, how it lives in your life could be you never have enough money, or you're always in poor health, or the people around you seem to be always miserable, or there's a lot of ways it could express in your life. That impact will be in your joints, in your connective tissue, in your cartilage, and that kind of thing. So for instance, rheumatoid arthritis is an expression of an immutable belief. How it expresses in your life is in the connective tissue.
I just got so sad. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's clear it.
Yep. So flushing it all out. Flushing all of that out.
Somebody mentioned something earlier about like a spleen.
Yep.
How would that fit like any organ, like your spleen?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of literal stuff. Typically lungs are grief, kidneys are personal power, liver's anger, right? So there's all sorts of stuff. The thing is, people don't always obey the rules. So I'm big on just vent, just flush. Sometimes the story helps. The story helps you release, because that click that you go, crap, it's that. It helps you give yourself permission to let it go. If you don't have that click, sometimes it's difficult to purge it, because there's always a reason you're holding it, right? It's some story.
So I've always said spleen is joy to my clients.
Cool.
Spleen is what,
Joy.
Yeah, so if you're having difficulty with your spleen, it means you're having difficulty with joy.
Yeah.
How often is it removed after an accident, because they say you don't need it?
There's
It's
lots.
injured.
The thing is, even if you physically remove it, the energy is still there. There's work you can do. We can always shift. Sometimes it's more challenging. It's
Spleen is extra lymph tissue.
The concept that you don't need your spleen,
Do you need your spleen?
from a movement perspective, and you don't need joy is an interesting.
That's what I mean.
so Tony just said
But
this.
you do need your spleen, so you do need joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony just said the spleen is extra lymph tissue, so that's about cleaning your blood.
So is the appendix, which is
Right.
also really interesting. How many people get their appendix taken out?
Right.
Because it seems to be extra to our needs.
Right? So flush. Flush. The stories, the recognizing, the unraveling is all about giving yourself permission to let it go. So if you think, I figured out all this stuff and let it go, what if I just let it all go? What would that be like? And what you'll find is the more you do this, the more things will bubble up in your awareness. You'll realize, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. There it is. The information is all there inside you. Okay. Now, have a look at that, all those stacked up versions of you, and see where's a pain that's really limiting you. Yeah. Because you can do this again. Just pick one that's really limiting you, because that pain is being held. See it in, it doesn't matter, see it in those stacked up child cells and identify it. If you want to know what it is, allow your awareness to just kind of connect with it so you can know what it is. Or, even more loving, is to be willing to let it go. Because if you practice letting it go without knowing, then you develop your muscle for, I don't need to know this, I can just let it go. It's a pain, I don't need to hold it. I don't care why I had it. Right? And you have to do that with love. because that's how you release the pain, you know, without it needing it to be a big issue, right? So let yourself see one and let it go. If you need to know what it is, that's okay. That's okay. That's about aim, and it's all right. Breathe it out. Breathe it out. Okay, so we're running low on time, so let's do some detox, because we did lots and lots. Flushing all of the things. So flushing all of the levels, all of the structures, all the energy, all the tissue. Flush, 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 flush. Strictly detox now. I know you want to do more. You can go back and do more with the recording. For now, you want to focus on flushing so that this release isn't going to have a cost. Just let it all flush. That's it. So release your awareness of all those nested younger selves. Release the cell breathing. Let the double balls spin for a little bit longer. Okay. Now release the ball that does the neutralizing and leave the main ball that does all of that courage and acceptance and approval and love. And then you can choose to spin that down inside you or release that one. And give yourself a pat on the back, you know, because, wow, we do good work, ladies. We tackle the tough stuff.
Thank you. Excellent.
You're very welcome. All sorts of validation. I love it.
I'm even seeking.
Right? Yeah. We are.
But then when we get it, we say, oh,
Not me. I'm going to bring it on, baby. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Next workshop will be May. I don't remember the date. Judy will, is it? I totally believe you. Judy will send a note. We're good like that.
Yeah,
She'll
thank
send.
you for that. I so appreciate those notes.
oh yeah.
She had a hard time with this one because she had it all ready to go, and then it croaked and Wayne had to go look at it, and it was like suddenly they decided you can click on the little YouTube symbol if you want to go subscribe to the channel. They decided that was spam.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
randomly for no reason. It's been there all along, but now all of a sudden today it's spam. And then he had to figure that out. I mean, it's not like it was obvious. So that got fixed. That's okay. And then the note had to go out. I think you got it twice. That's why it went twice, because we weren't sure. So, all right. Hold on. Let me just turn.
Thank you for not saying it out loud. It really hit a nerve tonight. Thank you.
All right. I will say good night to everybody at home. Or